Just a very special guy and a rare guy.
People trust him. He is highly motivated to assure that the right things are done, and his integrity is impeccable.
Richard Gaskalla is just an extraordinary human being.
And this is a guy that's dedicated 40 years of his life to the state of Florida.
Richard Gaskalla isn't a farmer, rancher, elected official, or titan of agribusiness. He was, however, one of Florida agriculture's greatest champions. For nearly 3 decades, Richard led one of the state's most important agricultural assets, serving as director of the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Division of Plant Industry. Over the years, Richard helped farmers fight some of the world's worst pests and diseases. Dan Richey is a citrus grower who benefited from Richard's leadership. He says Richard worked to ensure the safety of Florida fruit and advocated on behalf of farmers to keep overseas markets open.
Richard worked tirelessly and extremely hard with the members of the delegation from Japan to craft a meaningful protocol that worked for both sides. And it's been extremely successful. We've probably shipped over 100 million cartons over the years, if not more, under the protocol that Richard crafted. Without him, we wouldn't be shipping grapefruit to Japan today.
Richard's passion for plants began at an early age, working on his grandfather's farm in Ohio.
He would take me out into the garden and teach me the basics of gardening, and I took to it right away and have been interested in agriculture and mainly plant-based agriculture all my life.
Richard's family moved to Florida when his father was transferred to a Navy base in Jacksonville. He attended Paxton High School for advanced studies, Florida Junior College on a tennis scholarship, and graduated from Florida State University with a degree in biological sciences. He landed his first job in 1975 as a plant specialist at the Florida Department of Agriculture. After spending 5 years in the field, he was promoted to Export Certification Supervisor at DPI headquarters in Gainesville, then to Assistant Director in 1984 and Director of the Division of Plant Industry in 1988. During his tenure, the state battled pests and diseases that became national news, such as Mediterranean fruit fly, citrus canker, and dozens of other serious invasive plant pests, and under his leadership launched the eradication program of the giant African land snail that is nearing a successful conclusion. Much of the success of Florida's pest and disease eradication control programs came through partnerships with the USDA APHIS, UF-IFAS, and the impacted agricultural industry groups. Richard was a catalyst in bringing the right parties to the table to achieve the best outcome possible.
We think we've caught this infestation fairly early.
And so Richard led the group through a number of different exotics that unfortunately came into the state and eliminated them. So he was a tireless worker to assure that the industry was protected.
Richard continued to work on solutions to help Florida agricultural producers meet export standards of foreign and domestic markets. He also worked with then Congressman Adam Putnam to craft federal farm bill language that resulted in the national recognition that Florida is a high-risk gateway state for the entry of invasive agricultural pests and diseases. This positioned Florida to receive federal grant funding to improve pest exclusion and detection programs. These programs included successful public service campaigns, such as the Don't Pack a Pest program, informing travelers at international airports in Florida and throughout the Caribbean basin of the importance of declaring agricultural items. In addition, the division added detector dogs to the department pest detection arsenal to sniff out incoming agricultural contraband at postal facilities not covered by the USDA or Customs and Border Protection. Richard is now Director Emeritus of the Division of Plant Industry. The state's Gainesville laboratory continues much of the research begun under Richard's watch. Current director Dr. Trevor Smith says he was honored to be mentored by Richard and admires his passion for people, dedication to science, and long-time service to Florida.
We are at the point of the spear when it comes to invasive species in North America. If it's not a Mediterranean fruit fly program, then we've got some new crazy disease of honeybees or a new citrus pest. A lot of the other states, they have the winter time, they have time to kind of catch up on paperwork and relax. We don't ever have that. It never, ever stops.
Scientific research performed under Richard's watch resulted in improved biological control and citrus germplasm protection programs, and helped Richard make sound plant protection policy decisions. Industry leaders say Richard's knowledge, experience, and professionalism allowed the state to implement several controversial pest and disease programs that ultimately achieved success, including pink hibiscus mealybug biocontrol, several medfly eradication programs, and tropical soda apple integrated pest management.
Richard has always made sure that he applied the strength of the Department of Agriculture not as a sword to hurt agriculture, but as an effort to protect agriculture. And he always did that fairly and with science backing it up and great justifications.
Well, I learned a long time ago as a regulator, you never want to go into a business and tell people that you're going to do what I tell you to do because I have the authority to do it. That's never a good start. What you do is you be a good listener.
Richard is the first regulator elected to Florida's Agricultural Hall of Fame. He served 5 commissioners over the years, most recently Adam Putnam, who in 2011 talked Richard out of his first retirement.
When you have an opportunity to get an all-star back onto the field, you don't ever want to miss that opportunity. And Richard Gaskalla has really molded and shaped and formed the modern regulatory system for the citrus industry that has allowed us to hang on in the face of extraordinary adversity over the last 2 decades.
While he's always available to take calls from colleagues, he and his wife Lisa are now enjoying a relaxing retirement by the sea in Palm Coast.
And it was a great life while he was working, but it's greater still now that he's retired and he can relax some and really enjoy the fruits of his labor. And I'm glad I get to share it with him.
In addition to sharing his life with his wife, Richard enjoys spending time with his son and daughter, especially his 4 grandchildren. Son and daughter-in-law Curtis and Sherry Gaskalla have 2 daughters, Caden Petrick and Camden, and live in Ponte Vedra, Florida. Daughter and son-in-law Laura and Scott Meffin have a son, Trayson, and daughter, Aubrey Joy, and live in Ording, Washington. And Richard says more than ever, he is now able to appreciate living in a state he served for so many years.
The thing I liked most about Florida agriculture, greatest people on the planet. You couldn't help but to want to help these people because they were working so hard. It's a complex, difficult, competitive business, but their heart was in it, so I got right in there with them and helped them as best I could.